We've tested it to death, but what we haven't tested is the Corolla Sedan. There isn't a driver today on the road that hasn't at some stage in their lives driven a Corolla. It's been around for several generations. The good thing about all new Corollas is they come in a hybrid, and this one is the Sedan hybrid with puny fuel economy. And in fact, you could get in this car and drive around town with 3 litres of petrol for about 100 kilometres. Such is the expertise that Toyota and Lexus have in hybrid technology. But at the pub the other night with a socially distant drink with a couple of friends, I said I really like this Corolla. It does everything I want it to do. It's smooth and it's quiet. It's reasonably attractive too. And they said yes, but it's smaller than the hatch. I said, well, no, it's not. And they said, well, the boot's smaller. Can you put a body in it? Well, let's find out. Well, I can answer that question. Yes, you can. It isn't terribly comfortable. It was a bit of a thing to get in, but I've discovered something really interesting. Have a look at this. Have a look at this. That's been mandated so that people don't accidentally get locked in. Pull that, and the boot opens. Now you want to see me get out right. Oh God. And just to prove it, the back seats are up. So you can fit 2 bodies in here. There's enough room. And of course, if they're not conscious, then it's not really going to make all that much difference. But you might have to cut some things off to get any more in. Put the back seats down, get a blanket, and you could store a whole host of bodies. Oh my God. Remind me never to do that again. I quite like the way the designers have managed to make the Sedan look not hideous. Remember those Holden Astras? They had 2 different cars masquerading as the same nameplate. They had an Astra hatch, which was great, and an Astra Sedan, which was a completely different car and was absolutely awful. This one is exactly the same car, just with a boot, and it is brilliant. I know you're going to hate on me for saying it, but it is brilliant. And as is often the case with hybrids, these wheels, they are alloy wheels, but they've got covers over them masquerading as different alloys to make them more wind efficient. And of course they've got low rolling resistance tyres. Very important if you want to keep that fuel consumption down. There's a few little things to point out. If you want to use Apple CarPlay, which this car does have, make sure you're using this USB under the dash or you'll get no sound. If you want to use accessories, foot off the brake, just press the power button and it all comes to life. Because my phone's plugged in and I've already said yes, allow to use Apple CarPlay when you're locked, it will just automatically start up in a minute, in a second. And you can see my navman's already started. So here we are. And Apple CarPlay has initiated. This is the inbuilt navigation. Now it's come up with Google Maps, which was the last thing I was using before I switched the car off. Nice big screen. This is of course JBL. We met those boys at the launch. To start, remember this is a hybrid. I've pushed the power button. The digital dashboard is now alive. So the center of my dash is digital, but the outer bits are analog. This is the base model, remember? So you can get into a Corolla hybrid for under $30,000. You can see the reversing cameras come up and the parking brake automatically engages and disengages when you put it into park and out of park. So now we're just going back and I'm just looking here in the reversing camera. That's as clear as a bell. Looks like somebody though has not quite looked at their reversing camera. they've backed something into it. This is incredibly smooth, incredibly comfortable. Remember, this is just the base model, and it's quiet. It is so quiet. Look at all these hire cars around the place. It's turned into a hire car graveyard. There's acres of them. You can't see because it's out of camera reach, but there's acres. COVID has really decimated the car industry and really anything associated with travel, aircraft and so forth. Now, unlike some of the other cars that we've tested, this is a full hybrid, so it can operate for quite long periods of time, relatively speaking, in pure EV mode. Where the main difference is between a car like this, a Toyota hybrid, and an electric car, Nissan Leaf, Teslas and so forth, is that this car will charge the batteries as we drive. And I can see now that the engine was charging the batteries but also driving the motors. And this thing sticks between charging and driving, the battery driving, the battery charging. It's just an extraordinary piece of kit. Sound from the sound system it's adequate. Remember, this is just a base model, but it is still a JBL system. The speakers could do with an upgrade in the base models. The top models sound much better. There's a couple of other cool things as well. There's active lane control and the active cruise control when you can get it to work. Blimey. There's active blind spot monitoring as well, but I went through all that pretty thoroughly in the other Corolla review, so I'm not going to go into it again. Now that I've proved that you can, in fact, put a body in the boot, I'm struggling to find a reason why you wouldn't buy something that's reasonably priced, incredibly economical, beautifully smooth, easy to drive. The steering is so neutral. It almost has no feeling. You just have to know it's going to go where you point it. Most of the time I find myself looking at a Corolla and thinking, God, will someone just kill me now? But not in this case. I could really drive this a very long way, very happily. And unlike the previous attempts at hybrids, like Prius for example, that really wasn't very pleasant to drive on the open road. It was a bit dead. The engineers have put a lot of work into new Corolla to make sure that it's, well, they say engaging. I wouldn't go so far as to say engaging, but it is certainly extremely pleasant. I like Corolla a lot, and I like the sedan as much as I like the hatch. As always, if you've liked the film, don't forget to leave a comment, hit like, but most importantly, hit just there to subscribe.